No. You can hear me now. Excellent. My name is Baxter. I'm going to be joined by Ben Northcott for this half-an-hour presentation. And as the subject there says, how collaborative learning technology can help change the workplace. So, let's move straight in. This was a quote taken from a recent event called HRD back in April. And the comments made by Peter Cheese, the CEO of the HRD, really ring true with me. And I saw it again when I was in the opening presentation of the LSG conference this morning. And individuals, not learning departments, are going to take responsibility for their learning. Now, for some of you, that may be terrifying. For some of you, that may be exciting. And for a lot of you, you may lie in the middle of that. Because things are going to change, and things are going to change very rapidly. We believe that traditionally learning organizations and learning departments have been really focusing on this part. I'm sure you're all aware of the Eichner-Lombardo model that's been pushed around the market for many, many years. And I think they really focused on the fact that only 10% of the learning comes from the formal environment. The other parts, the 70 and the 20 part, come from the less formal sides. And as Saba, we believe that the only way you can really release that is by bringing in social technology, collaborative technology, to start enriching people's experience and start enabling them to be empowered and take control of their own destiny in learning. Now again, as learning departments, you may be excited by that, you may feel challenged by that, or you may sit in the middle. Is social learning for you? Is a social environment for you? I would ask anybody here that if you can check box any 2 or 3 of those characteristics of business, then a social learning environment will be applicable for you. So I don't know how many people look at that and say, yep, I can. One's true, 3's true, 4's true, 5's true. Most of you will probably be able to put your hand up against at least 4 or 5 of those. Well, we would argue that a social learning environment and social technology will help companies take advantage of that situation. Let's go back. How many people here are currently using social technology in their business? Can I just get an indication by putting your hand up? How many people currently use social technology in their business? Okay, interesting. Some recent research that was carried out with Training Zone. We asked exactly the same question. And interestingly, 25% said that it was across the whole company. The rest of the audience were looking at various degrees between not at all, or in one division, or we're just experimenting in that. So we wanted to know why that was the case, because adopting a social learning approach is quite problematic. So we asked why people weren't adopting it. What were the challenges? And again, using the Training Zone data, this was the response we got back. And the issues fell into 3 main areas. The first, cultural acceptance. Second, management support. Third, software. So let's just go into each one of these. Cultural acceptance. We were puzzled when we got this research back, because most people in their home lives are using social technology in some way, shape or form. Can I again see just a show of hands, how many people here use Facebook? Okay, now that's a huge difference between the number of people who use Facebook, and yet when I said who is using social technology at work, very few hands went up. So the cultural acceptance piece, I don't buy. I don't buy it at all. Next one, management support. Again, in companies, who feels that they have their management support about driving new technology into the business? Who feels that their management is behind driving this? Or that they feel that they're concerned about, are people going to be working? Is there going to be confidentiality issues? Is there going to be security issues? So who in this room feels their management are supporting them in driving social technology? Can I again see a show of hands? Very few. Well, the interesting thing is, when you look at research from PricewaterhouseCoopers, IBM, most senior management in most companies are saying, we want our companies to become more social. We want them to become a more socially oriented enterprise. The issue is, they do not know how to do this. They are going to lay the gauntlet down at people's feet. Now, whether that is learning, whether that is HR, it doesn't matter. They are, or even IT, they are going to lay that gauntlet down at your feet. And so therefore, what you need to find out is how can you start to think about moving into social environment. So I don't believe the cultural acceptance is an issue. I don't believe management support is an issue, but I think that software is an issue. And to date, when we've researched the market, we've talked to people how they started to implement social technology. And invariably, people have gone for a standalone system. Fragmented standalone systems such as Jive, Yammer, great products in their own right, but yet another application to go for. So in your companies, what's the first application that you probably log into? Outlook? Yeah. Next application you log into? Oracle if you're in finance. Next application you go into? Learning management system. Right at the bottom of the line is the social collaboration platform. It's yet another application to go to. You may look at SharePoint, yet another application to go into. So what we want to do in Saba is we want to start removing layers of complexity. We want to start removing all these different applications that you have to look at. And therefore, we want to look at a single platform that will allow you to go to one place to work, one place to collaborate, one place to social network, one place to learn, one place to look at your performance management. So what this presentation is about how you as individuals can go from a standard formal learning environment into a more social learning environment, taking many steps as you go. Because I think the biggest fear is you're either in a formal learning environment, someone throws you a lot of social technology and says, get on with it. Well, if you do it that way, chaos reigns. We know we did it in our company. We actually use our own product. The product development people threw it at us and said, go make it work. And we didn't have a clue how to do that because we were given too much technology, too much functionality at one go. So we learned through our own implementation. And what we want to talk to you about today with Ben is some of our experience and some of how the product will lead you through a very neat, elegant way of achieving a social learning environment that allows you to realize on that 70 and 20 part of the learning model. Ben, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you. Okay, so bad news is you've got me for the next 10 minutes. The good news is it's nearly lunchtime, so we'll get through it as quickly as we can here. So, introducing the Saba People Cloud. What is the Saba People Cloud? What it is at its heart is it's still a traditional learning management system with all the features that you're used to from a learning management system, delivering that from a sort of top-down approach to learning management. And so, if the idea of social technology scares you in terms of the business place, you can still use the system in terms of the more formal way. But what we're really going to talk about today is the social elements of the Saba People Cloud and the fact that it's essentially social ready, if you like. It's pretty much like a HD ready telly. It's there and it's ready for you when you want to go with the features of the solution. Tying that back to what Ian was just saying about the 70-20-10, what we're trying to do with the social elements is we're trying to pick up and realize that lost 90% of learning that happens on the job, if you like, day to day, in terms of interactions that go on between each individual. And so moving into the solution itself, I'm just going to take you through 2 or 3 slides just to show you the look and feel of the system and how it works from a more traditional top-down approach. So we've got a very clean, crisp and clear sort of interface here. So you can see we're logged in as Pat Rose here. She's taken straight in and she can see her development plan. She can see the type of learning courses that she's taking. The icons here indicate what type of learning course it is. She can easily see the progress and due dates that she needs to complete them by. And on top of that, with a single click, we can go in, single click, and we can start to launch a course. So nothing sort of surprising there in terms of traditional learning management system. The interface here, we've got our learning catalog. We can go in, we've got a Google type search at the top here. So it's content rich, and we can bring up and easily find and filter the content that we're looking for. All of this can be branded and configured to meet your business needs. We have domain-based systems, so if you've got different departments, we can theme them based on your different departments. So again, this is looking at it from Pat's position as a manager. She's got her number of direct reports here. She can clearly see that a lot of the individuals here need attention, and so she could go in here and she could assign a team goal, for example, complete your training course. You're behind on your target dates. So pushing out learning or subscribing to learning as an individual, as you would expect, pretty much. And then from a team perspective, she can drill into Aaron's position here. She can go in and see what's going on at a sort of ground level. So a nice, clean, crisp interface. This is the Saba People Cloud from a formal perspective. And of course, reporting on that data as you would expect. So going back to the social ready aspect here, we're now sort of going to look at the Facebooks and the LinkedIns, the sort of technology that we're used to in our personal lives, but we're going to show you now how you can leverage that technology and bring that into the business environment in order to utilize that lost 90% that happens through day-to-day interactions. And so this little picture here, I think, summarizes it quite nicely. And so each of these, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, they all have different aspects of social. And so the Saba People Cloud brings that technology into the business environment and allows you to utilize that in the business way. So we've got some key features here that we use within the Saba People Cloud, elements that you'll be used to seeing in terms of Facebook and LinkedIn. So the next few slides are just going to take you through, this one here just shows you how easy it is from an administrator perspective to go in and switch these features on as you become ready and you feel that you're ready to go with those features in terms of the business. So you can take baby steps with this platform. So as soon as we switch that on, we've now got additional features. We've got an activity stream here in terms of the home page. Very sort of similar technology to Facebook and LinkedIn, but those are where the similarities kind of end, because you've got the concept of being able to follow individuals in your organization, but it's not following them necessarily because you like them or because they're your friends. It's because they're subject matter experts in the business. They're people that are useful to you and your learning experience in the business environment. So how does that work? Well, subject matter experts can upload their own content, links, and blend it into the whole system. We have video conferencing, web conferencing systems. So whether or not it's impromptu meetings, whether or not it's web-based classrooms, recording here. And so all of that is seen by Pat when she logs in here. She can see what's going on. She can get a pulse of the organization and what activity is happening. And if she wants to, she can click on the quick share button, share links, files, ideas, or issues. So it's kind of, in terms of sort of SharePoint experience, it's putting content up into the environment, but it's using it in a learning, in terms of the learning experience. And here's just a quick screen of how we could set up a meeting. It's blended into this whole experience, this whole technology. What we do on a monthly basis in Saba is we have monthly releases of this technology, and our product development will have an internal meeting, and that gets recorded, if you like, and that becomes content inside the environment here. So you don't have to necessarily create formal content or invest in formal content. Individuals are doing that for you. It's recording the activity that goes on, the on-the-job training. It's trying to use technology to record that. And so in terms of the more formal top-down approach to learning, your catalogs, you have the ability to rate the content. Individuals that enroll on courses are automatically subscribed into this concept of groups. And so these individuals here may have just been on a training course, and then they can discuss the training course, whether or not it was useful, what might have been better. And so it becomes sort of a social experience, and all of that starts to rate the content that's going in there, so the best content should bubble to the top. What's in it for me in terms of the individual? Why would I want to contribute content into the organization? Well, the more content you contribute and the more people pick up on that content and find use of it, the more kudos you're going to get back. So we have this concept of gamification. We have a PQ score here, which is based on what you're contributing into the organization in terms of informal learning. And on top of that, the more useful that information is, the more your rating will go up. It's not necessarily about quantity, it's about the quality and what people think of the content. And so individuals may find a gem or a piece of information that's really, really useful, and they may want to reshare that or bookmark it. And by doing that, that type of information is all recorded in the system, and it will increase the PQ score of the individual. And on top of that, we have this kind of gamification process. We can, if we were doing a presentation or we were working on a project together, you can give some kudos to your work colleagues in terms of this gamification process here. And all of that kind of links back to the learning management side of our solution, which we're not really focusing on today. We're really focusing on the learning side of things, but the gamification side of things would obviously be information that we could bring up in performance reviews. The manager can actually see real hard evidence of what you're contributing to the organization. And so on that note, the manager has the ability to then analyze these interactions that are going on in the organization. And so we have this concept of a hierarchy rather than a hierarchy. And so yes, the hierarchy is still important. We can still look at it from our organizational perspective, but from a day-to-day interaction perspective, we have this kind of, the nucleus here is Pat at the center here, and we can see the interactions that are going on between Pat and Jeff here. We've got quite a thick line indicating that there's more interaction going on between the two. And if we was then to sort of put, this is just in terms of her team, if we were to look at it from an organizational perspective, it gets very sort of busy on the screen, but what you'll find is these blue dots here, you'll have some real key linchpins in the organization. Those are the ones that you really need to have succession plans for in the organization, because if you don't, the knowledge that disappears overnight is, can be quite a hole to fill. But on that note, a lot of the information that you're recording in this system, it's tracking all that information. So as individuals leave and come into the organization, that information is recorded. One of the bad things about emails is that the information is very peer-to-peer. The key difference here is writing on walls, writing on activity streams, is that information is there for future purposes. When people leave, come in and out of the business, the information's still there and it can still be searched upon. And this is just another way of looking at that content here. She works in customer services, so naturally the people that are following her would predominantly be in that area. She's following a lot of the C-level individuals in the organization. Interestingly enough, they're not following her. So, it's just different ways of analyzing the interactions that are going on between the individuals in the organization. So that sort of wraps up some of the social elements of the Saba People Cloud, how we're trying to really pick up on that lost 90% of learning that happens, which is informal, on the job. It's not top down, it's not regimented in the way that you have to subscribe to training. It's about empowering the users to take on their own learning experience. Ian, was you going to take over? Yep.
Thank you, Ben. As you see, we've been talking about the learning side of it. The product also supports performance, collaboration, and also planning. So it's a very comprehensive platform. Now, a lot of people talk about what is the value and measuring the value of any form of investment in collaboration. So this is a study that was carried out by McKinsey, And I think you'll agree the numbers that are up there are quite dramatic in terms of improvement, whether it's return on investment, customer service, productivity. This was analysis of a large number of companies globally where McKinsey looked at what the real return was. So I think those type of returns are great, but that's all well and good. And you might say, yes, heard that all before, understand that, but is it really for me? Is it really going to work for me? What we'd like to show you now is a very short 3-minute video of one of our customers who had a problem, had an issue, and their implementation experience of using the product in a real life situation.
I'm Gabriel Graham. I'm the e-learning program manager for Medtronic, the Medtronic Diabetes Division. So we have a group of Gen Y employees in our inside sales team, and we recently had an attrition issue with them. They were leaving at a rate of 2 employees per week. It was just a significant issue that we needed to address. And we needed to be able to reach them directly and reach them kind of on their playing field, with technology, and get them engaged into their career development. In addition to the peer-to-peer learning or the traditional classroom learning experience, we needed them to be participating in formal learning and kind of be reaching out for learning on demand. So learning that was going to help them develop in their careers, but they needed to do so at their own pace and at their own desire. We needed a social solution for them to connect with each other. We also needed a learning solution that was going to help them gain the skills and experiences that were going to help them move ahead in their careers, which ultimately was going to keep them at Medtronic longer. We explored a number of social solutions, and we also explored a number of traditional learning solutions that were talking a lot about social being part of that. But we needed really a great mix of both the social elements and the learning elements together. So what led us to SBC was needing that perfect combination of social experience and really giving them that Facebook-like or YouTube-like experience, but also being able to give them on-demand learning that was going to help them further their careers. So we needed them engaged, and we also needed them learning so they could move ahead. It wasn't just for them to get online and chat together and have that experience. We needed them to be essentially engaged with each other and engaged with the company. And we needed their social conversations to be around their own career development. So we wanted to keep them very focused on helping essentially to reduce attrition by getting them really laser focused on their careers. My experience with other vendors has been challenging in the past. What I was most pleased with was Saba's ability to understand our need, which is very specific for this program, for this project up front, to get that and get the architecture of what we were trying to build, and to be able to react very quickly and build it, help us to configure that within the system in such a way that our users were going to be able to hit the ground running. Within 2 months from the start date, we were able to get our users online. We had a very aggressive start date that we needed to meet. We had made a lot of promises and set a lot of really high expectations for what they were going to experience online, and we had to deliver on that very quickly. Very different than any other experience that we've had. It could have taken us a year or longer to implement this in-house or as we have with other systems. For this, able to get up to 2 months, it was just a really great win. Well, our adoption accelerator, Maria, she's been great. She's done everything from helping us to get set up and get online to being available almost at all hours of the day. She's been great. It's been a great resource to have her online, not only helping us as administrators, but helping our users to understand how to navigate the system, where they should go next, and also making great recommendations to encourage individuals to get engaged and involved with the content. In fact, what we've seen here is just within the Medtronic Diabetes Division, we've seen several other projects taking form that want to use the Saba People Cloud platform, and those have been to great success so far.
So there were some key messages coming out from there in terms of starting small, starting with a key problem, and then kind of recording the benefits, and then very quickly Medtronic, which is a company with 45,000 people in it, they're now looking at rolling out different projects across the whole company. When we when we deployed the products in our company, we found that we could switch off things like SharePoint. We found that our email volumes have gone down. We found we've become more responsive to things. We can find things, and we trust the data that we see. So there are many, many benefits. But it's not just for large companies. It's for companies from 45,000 upwards or going down lower. So on the next slide here, you see a smattering of some of the customers we have, from Medtronic down to someone like the Eduse Group, which is a small 30-person company, geographically spread, professional services, and they've used it to speed up onboarding. They've used it to speed up productivity and customer service. So if you'd like to find out more, we're behind you on the stand there. Thank you very much for your attention. I think we've got 5 minutes to go, so thank you for your time.